Belgium, ranked second in the world by FIFA, will be appearing at their 14th World Cup finals in Qatar as one of the favorites, as for some of the golden generation, this could be their last attempt at eternal glory. Belgium would make their World Cup debut in the inaugural tournament down in Uruguay 1930, in a group alongside the United States and Paraguay. Two disappointing performances, seeing them ship 4 goals and score none, was an inauspicious start to life in the Cup. Despite only playing 1 game in Italy 1934, they would improve on last time out by scoring twice through Bernhard Voorhoff against Germany. They once again only played 1 game in the next tournament, France 1938. It was against the hosts, and they were unable to muster much. They wouldn't participate in the tournament in Brazil, but were back for the Swiss edition of 1954. They would again improve just a bit and notch a 4-4 draw with England in a group stage match that went to overtime. The subsequent 4-1 loss to Italy would send them out, but progress was made. The Red Devils would not qualify again for 16 long years, but Mexico 1970 would see them grace the World Cup once more. It would be at the Estadio Azteca in Mexico City that Belgium would record their first ever World Cup win in the opener over El Salvador, 3-0. Dreamland was yanked back down to reality with a crushing 4-1 defeat to the Soviets in the second match. They needed a result against the hosts in the third match to advance, but it wasn't meant to be as Mexico prevailed 1-0, but notched another step forward for the men in blue. Failing to qualify in 74 and 78, Belgium would return to the world stage in Spain 1982. It was the beginning of quite a run of successive qualifications to the finals. The group stage was daunting, however, as defending champs Argentina and Diego Maradona was the first match. The Red Devils stunned the world with a 1-0 victory to open the tournament. Fond foes in El Salvador were up next, and they were able to repeat their first triumph with a 1-0 win. A strong draw versus the Hungarians in the third match 1-1 would see them into the second group stage of the tournament. They were once again roughly pulled down from Cloud 9 with a resounding 3-0 loss to Poland, followed by another defeat at the hands of the Soviets 1-0, but it was still their best showing at the Cup to date. The Red Devils were back in Mexico 1986, poised for something special, and improved on results once again. They would participate in the opener versus the hosts and went down 2-1 in a disappointing start to the tournament. They bounced back with a win over Iraq 2-1, but the 2-2 draw in the third match versus Paraguay would leave them in third place in the group. That tournament allowed the best third place teams to go to the round of 16 for the knockout round, and Belgium were through. Unfortunately, it was their nemesis, the Soviets, for the third time running. History would not repeat itself, and Belgium would win a thriller in extra time, 4-3, to move on to the quarterfinals. The Spanish needed a late equalizer to send it to overtime, and then on to penalties. The Belgians would net all 5 of their shots to triumph 5-4 and roll on to the semifinals. The dream was not meant to be, however, because Maradona and Argentina awaited, and the man himself would net the only 2 goals to relegate Belgium to the third place match. It was another thriller against France, as most are in the For the Badge match, and they went 2-2 to overtime, where the Red Devils would not have the steam and shipped 2 more goals to go out in 4th place, but proud of once again having their best showing yet. A third successive tournament for the first time would see Belgium in a tough group in Italia 1990. They availed themselves well in the first match against the South Koreans with a 2-0 win. Then it was twice champions La Celeste up next, and Belgium recorded a wonderful victory 3-1, with Enzo Scipio, young player of the previous tournament, having another good tournament and a goal in this one. They would then face Spain in the third match and went down 2-1, but it was enough to send them through to the round of 16 against the English. Despite Scipio twice hitting the bar, penalties were looming in the 119th minute when David Platt's volley sank Belgian hearts for the 1-0 win to send Belgium home, but Scipio would be named the second best player of the tournament. Belgium qualified yet again for USA 94 into a spicy group that they started out by beating Morocco in a tight 1-0 match. They would follow this with a wonderful 1-0 victory over the Dutch in a tough game. They then lost to Saudi Arabia off the back of a slalom run through the defense to score the only goal, and finished third in the group, despite having the same amount of points as both Saudi Arabia and the Netherlands. They were one of the 4 best third-place teams, so advanced to the round of 16, where they would meet the German holders. Rudi Völler netted twice, and Jurgen Klinsmann got the winner despite a Herculean Belgian performance, and they were dumped out, as so many have been, by Germany, 3-2. A fifth successive qualification for the Red Devils would see them drawn into an interesting group that they would have believed they could qualify from. The 0-0 draw versus the Dutch in the first match showed worrying signs, but they would be more and more on display as they also drew the second match with Mexico 2-2. They would need a result against South Korea in the third match, but it was not meant to be. They would draw 1-1 and were actually one of 3 teams to go undefeated in the tournament despite not progressing to the next round and going home disappointing. It would see Enzo Scipio and Frankie van der Elst play in their 4th cup, a Belgian record. Captain Mark Wilmots would lead them out in Korea-Japan for the 0-2 edition, marking his 4th tournament. They would start the group stage with a draw against Japan, where Wilmots would score the first goal, the 2-2. He would likewise grab the goal for Belgium against Tunisia in the second match, where they drew 1-1. Russia was up in the third match, wherein they needed a result, and once again Wilmots stepped up with the winner in the 3-2 to see them into the round of 16. Perhaps unlucky to see some dubious refereeing, they were still never going to be Ronaldo and Rivaldo and the men in yellow as they rolled on to lift the cup, and the Red Devils were on the long plane ride home. Their run of successive qualifications was over, and they would endure a 12-year hiatus from World Cup football, but came roaring back in Brazil 2014 with a whole new generation. They opened the tournament with a 2-1 victory over Algeria, and it took 2 late goals to do so. Russia was up next, and they left it late once again as Divock Origi popped up with the winner in the 88th minute, 1-0. True to form, Jan Vertonghen would net in the 78th minute versus the South Koreans in the third match for a perfect group stage. They were on to round 16 to face Timmy Howard in the good old US of A. They would bombard the American net for 90 minutes, and Howard would rack up 15 saves as well as the man of the match performance. Just after a heart-in-the-mouth moment where they were nearly scored on in overtime, they would hit back to win 2-1 and sink American hearts. Leo Messi and Argentina awaited in the quarterfinals, but it was a Gonzalo Higuain goal that would end the run for Belgium in disappointing fashion. Kevin De Bruyne and the gang were back for Russia 2018, and they were looking to improve on their last efforts like so many of their predecessors. They opened the tournament with fervor and a 3-0 win over Panama. Tunisia was up next, and they blasted them apart 5-2 in a thriller. Harry Kane and England were their third opponents, and it was a tough, tight match where they needed Januzaj to pop up for the only goal of the match in a perfect group stage. It was looking grim in the 69th minute against the Blue Samurai in the round of 16. They were down 2 goals when Jan Vertonghen netted first, and the comeback was on. 5 minutes later, Marouane Fellaini would head home to equalize and set up a dramatic final 10 minutes. Nasser Chadli became the hero in the 94th minute as the comeback was complete and Belgium were sent into delirious pandemonium. They were surely bolstered as they met Brazil in the quarterfinals and triumphed 2-1, and it was on to the semis. The dream would fall just short as they were up against the French juggernaut, and they lost a tight 1-0 match to be relegated to the third-place game. They would face a familiar foe in England and triumph 2-0 in their yellow kit to see the best ever finish at a World Cup. Belgium made a habit long ago of improving on their tournament performances, and they can only do one better than last time around. Matched up against Canada, Croatia, and Morocco, they look poised for another deep run. The Red Devils could be a new champion in Qatar, but will need to be at their very best on the world's grandest stage.